I really want to give this video a unique name. I want to just call it Late Night Book Talk. I don't know why. It's just because it's like 11:56 pickup sticks. Over the weekend, I got 3 different books. Like today I bought, well, it's not today anymore, but I bought Plain Brown Wrapper by Karen Bates. I'm not going to even try to attempt to say her middle name there. But this is the first book in her Alex Powell series. Actually, it's not a series. This is a standalone, but I think there was an attempt to make it out of a series. But anyway, the author and the main protagonist are African American, and the protagonist's name is, as I said here, is Alex. It is a girl. She is a journalist, and she goes about helping a friend solve a murder. So that's the first book there. And then I got set up here by, it's the first book in the Delilah West series by Maxine O'Callaghan here. And this is an interesting discovery of mine because as I was, I just spotted it at the used bookstore. But when I researched this author actually was, her protagonist, Delilah West, as a private investigator out in California, Los Angeles, she actually predates Marcia Muller, which was really interesting. Marcia Muller in terms of a short story. So basically, Maxine introduced Delilah West as a short story in an Alfred Hitchcock mystery short story magazine or journal or whatever back in 1974. And then I want to say Marcia Muller came out with Sharon McCone debut Edwin in the Iron Shoes in 1977. So that was a surprise to me. I was like, people put so much acclaim on Marcia Muller that nobody even talks about her. I'm like, really? But as I said, she introduced Delilah West in a short story, but in 1981 she released the first book in Delilah's series, first full-length book. And I'm so pissed off because when I go to the bookstores to look at books, I always try to check the front to look at the book listing, and it makes me so mad when some book listings, they start with the first book in the series at the top, and then you can check another book and the book listing starts from the bottom. I actually had to go by what was available there and go by the publishing dates, and this is 1994, although the hardback was released in 1991, and lo and behold, that was like the 4th book. I was like, ooh. But I did also get Martha C. Lawrence's Scorpio, Murder in Scorpio as well. And this is the first book in, I would assume, see, when you look on these damn things, it could be a whole list that is out of order. But the first book in Martha's, what is the protagonist's name? I don't know her name. Elizabeth Chase, private investigator series. Elizabeth Chase, of course, as you can tell by the title, Elizabeth Chase she uses the Zodiac to solve murder, so that's kind of an interesting twist. And I will be, hopefully this is going to be a good one. But she's also a private investigator out in California as well. See, that's what, why all the girls, let me tell y'all something, because this is book night chats. Let me tell y'all something. I love reading these books. Hold on, get some coffee. I love reading these books because back in 6th grade, that's when, I kind of came to terms with the fact that everybody was not going to be for me, and that's cool. I'm good with that now. But I won't say that I was necessarily bullied or whatnot throughout my school years. In middle school, I had some toughs with some people. There was even this one kid who would try to spit on me, and then years later he was trying to get with my cousin, and he tried to throw my name in there like we was cool, to try to get with my cousin. But I digress. But the point is that, by 6th grade, you're 11 years old, you realize at this point that you're different from other kids, and that sort of separates you. I was such an outgoing child in elementary school, and then by the time I got to 6th grade and realized that I was different, and that because of this, and because people recognized certain things in me that I was working within myself, that people would tease me about things. I don't want to go into details because I don't want to make this like a sob video or anything like that. But the point is that made me withdrawn. I've withdrawn a lot. As I said, it's before I was really an outgoing kid. But by 6th grade on up to maybe only until like 11th grade did I feel like I could be myself a lot more. In school, I was just a withdrawn child. And what happened was is that like I started reading much more. You know, before then I was always reading, but from 6th grade forward, I really started to read. I really started to invest in buying books and keeping up with my collection. And of course, that started with reading R.L. Stine books. You know, I remember clear as day, 1994, October of 1994, me and my mom, we went to Walmart, and I was in the book section, and when in 6th grade you discover cheerleaders, you know, that's when you start seeing, you know, the football team and all this stuff. And I remember at that point I was so fascinated with cheerleaders. I was like, oh, look at these girls in these little bitty ass skirts doing all these backflips like the Pink Ranger. I was like, damn, it's like, and I can't be one. Ugh. But yes, I was really fascinated with cheerleaders. So we was in the book section at that Walmart, and there was that R.L. Stine book. I'll put a picture up somewhere of Fear Street Cheerleaders. It was the 3rd book, and I was just like, oh my god, like this looks so cool. You know, here's the cheerleader with pom-poms and a skull in it. It looks scary, it looks crazy, it looks dangerous. It takes place in high school. It will allow me to get out some of the frustrations that I have with some of my classmates that try to be my friend. And I was like, great. So, you know, of course I asked my mom, can I buy it? And that was just it. That was when I decided this is precisely what I loved. I had just, from that point forward, I was just reading R.L. Stine books back to back. So here's the thing about R.L. Stine books, or the Fear Street series in particular. He writes kind of like 2 or 3 different styles of each of these books. Some of the books are paranormal based, supernatural, ghosts, and, you know, that sort of thing. And then some of them are whodunit books, you know, books that takes place in high school where one of the teens is murdered, and then of course his or her friends have to, you know, discover who committed the murder. They're whodunits. And the majority of the time, you know, there was always a final girl. If you're like a horror buff or whatever, or you love horror movies, you know that the final girl in a slasher film, she's like the last girl standing. You know, all of her friends are murdered. She's fleeing from the killer, you know, picture Friday the 13th, which is something else that I loved as a toddler. She somehow always manages to find herself in the nest of the killer. You know how on Friday the 13th, the girl, she flying through the woods, you know, her hair going all crazy, and then next thing you know, one of her friends' body swings from the tree, and then, you know, it's all gutted out and whatnot. But she's the girl that survives. She's the girl that ends, you know, most of the times is the quote unquote virgin girl, or whatever, the girl that didn't have sex or smoke. You can get into that another day. But the point is that I enjoyed R.L. Stine's Fear Street books because there was always a final girl. There was always a girl there who resolved, you know, the murder, who was always there to, you know, lay out the grounds of what happened, and then find herself in a struggling and dire situation where she has to use her wits, her wiles, her resources to escape whatever the killer was, which most of the times was probably like a boyfriend of some sort. You know, I love those books. But that's where all of my taste in murder mysteries and whodunits and private investigators and crime fiction came from. Because, you know, as a child, as I was reading these books, and sometimes I was trading these books with other of my classmates or whatnot as I was collecting them, I would also, not only was I reading the books, but I was also trying to emulate his writing inside of my own work. So, you know, I would have notebooks after notebooks of material while I was trying to write stories like that. And that's why, you know, that's just why I love what I love to read. You know, that's my root. You know, everybody reads what they love to read for a reason. Everybody comes from something, but that's just where it comes from for me, and that's something that's always been in my heart. I've always wanted to write these kind of stories, therefore I've always read them, and I continue to read them on into my adult life. Now, have I actually sat here and wrote one? Swing your hair back and forth. No, not for real. No, I mean, I got a lot of really bad drafts sitting on my desktop and on floppy disks over the years, but you know, at the end of the day, one day I feel like I'll make it to it. I seem so weird in this video, like I'm trying to talk to y'all or something. Like, you know me, I'll be trying to talk. It's late, that's why it's late. So I'm gonna go. Peace.
You gotta get up, you gotta get off, you gotta get down, girl.
I'm almost done with my tea. Put the spoon down. Dollar General or Dollar Tree. Was it Dollar General? Dollar General. I know I'm from the hood. I'm from the projects, child. I'm be going up here trying to front. I I have never lived in a gingerbread house, okay?